Chief. Hey, Jim. Thanks a lot. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, it's okay.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the invocation of Pastor William Wilson of the Choose United Methodist Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. We thank our God for this day and for this gathering of the leadership of this community. We thank you for Gloucester Township, for the blessings of living in this community. And we thank you for those who serve, whether it's mayor or council, our police department, our fire departments, our ambulance squads, all those who seek to work for the good of this community. We give you thanks. Now bless this meeting and the work that is before us, that it might continue to improve this community and be a place where all are welcomed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain an audible and clear record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized, state your name and address directly into the microphone. Recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office. Shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison? Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler?
Here.
Mrs. Strato? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mr. Mata? Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cantwell?
Here.
Mr. Cards?
Here.
We have our first public portion in which to speak on any item. Agenda items only. Please raise your hand and come to the microphone box.
Good evening. Robert Kolakowski, Lincoln Drive in Glen Oaks. Hope everybody's ready for spring with the weather. I have some questions about 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first one, the energy aggregation program. I guess personally I was looking forward to having another meeting before the second reading, but that's just my personal opinion on that. In the ordinance itself, there's a line that says solicit bids for the provision of electric generation service either separate or bundled. And I don't recall that being in that initial ordinance that was tabled a couple of months ago. What would be bundled is what I guess what I'm...
Does that mean separate as to Gloucester Township only and bundle as with multiple?
I would say that's the intent of that. That it could be with other municipalities, neighboring communities, Somerdale or some of the other such, correct?
Okay. The next one is Ordinance 14-07, licensing of pawnbrokers and second-hand goods. What's the background on that? What was the impetus for?
Why we're bringing it? This is an ordinance that was presented to us by the Chief of Police to tidy up and to have a way of following information that goes to the pawnbrokers when they're buying things. There's documentation they must keep, and this record keeping will help make that easier for the police to not only retrieve but also to view and see, because everybody does it a little bit differently, and there's a lot of this, there's a lot of differences between the different brokers.
Right, and does that mostly include the buying of the merchandise as opposed to the selling of it?
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. They buy something, they must take a photo, they have to have ID and who they're buying it from just in case it's stolen. And then the police right now has to go around to all of these, but if they take this information and put it into a central database, it then becomes a little bit easier for the police. Am I correct, Chief?
That's exactly right.
Okay, I guess we're expecting a tick in that with the off-track betting site coming. Would this affect charitable thrift stores or consignment shops at all?
This, I believe, is only if you're buying items.
Either you are licensed as a pure pawnbroker, or you're purchasing a second-hand dealer, such as existing licenses held by jewelry stores or other similar type operations that will take merchandise in. Correct, Chief?
I believe that's correct. If they were purchasing the items at the thrift store, that would be different, but if it's donated items being sold, that wouldn't fit to the criteria. And
Okay.
the definitions are kind of clear about floor space and volume, but the key is really someone going in there and selling merchandise as opposed to like a normal thrift store.
Okay. And lastly, the resolution 1403-088 for the Leeboy RA 400 pothole spray patcher. I read an article on this in the Saturday, March 8th edition of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And it went through, and I also looked at the brochure about it. It's a 4-step process, fills in 90 seconds rather. The National Research Council's SHRP report says it's the most economical and longest lasting method of pothole repair. Again, only 4 steps. It can be performed in temperatures above 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Couple of questions I have. We know the cost is more than $36,000. Do we have any ballpark figure what we'd be looking at?
I believe it's around $210,000.
Okay. And would the patches that they do, are they considered temporary fixes, or are they a permanent patch?
My understanding is a mixture of concrete and blacktop,
Right.
so I think it's more permanent and it doesn't wash away like the old, just stuffing it with some coal patches, they say.
Right. Do we have any idea how long the patch is expected to last? Do we have any?
I don't have that. I can get that information
Okay.
back.
Do you know how many, on average, how many potholes needed repair in each of the last 2 years? Roughly how many?
I don't have that.
Okay. And I'm taking it this year it's going to be a heck of a lot more.
For visual inspection, yes.
Yeah. Do we know how long it takes currently a pothole crew to fill one pothole on average?
I think the key there, Bob, is that it's usually a crew. It's usually
Right.
at least 2 to 4 men.
Right.
Here, this piece of equipment will only be one person that can clean it, get it ready, and then put the product inside it. So I think that's and so from what I'm hearing, it also is a lot quicker.
Right. Yeah, 90 seconds, and you're good to go. Right. Do police currently provide protection for the pothole crews now? A lot of times with road work, you'll see one of our.
Yeah, I would imagine the public works, if they needed support, the police department would help.
And that wouldn't be necessary with this.
I would imagine it would not, unless it's on a major roadway where they still may need to, because this machinery is not small. So I'm imagining this, and this is, my take on it.
Right.
If there's something that the public works director thinks is going to cause a problem, then I'm sure he would check with the chief.
Okay. I saw in today's patch that Camden County is going to start using one, I think Monday. Do they own theirs or do they rent theirs?
I think they're renting one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Mr. Moffat probably would be the person to answer a lot of these other questions. Taking into account this whole process starting now and soliciting bids, getting the approvals, when do you see the first pothole being filled in the township with the spray patcher? I mean, what's your time frame that you're looking at?
Yes, but I think we could have it operational in maybe the second week of April, possibly the first week,
Okay.
depending on the delivery.
Right. Now, this has been an extremely brutal winter, and the weather has caused more potholes, I think, this year than in previous years. Meteorologists are saying that next year there's a good chance that we're going to have an El Nino year, which is going to make the winter much milder. And if we have fewer potholes to fill, would it be possible for the township to rent out with the operator to neighboring towns, or even to come into agreement with Camden County to patch the county roads in our township. Two benefits: we would get our roads patched quicker, and two, it would help defray the township's cost.
That was the conversation I had with the mayor regarding this piece of work.
We discussed that also, Bob, at the workshop, which, once we get it down on how we're going to use it to offer it out to the neighboring towns. And as you said, one of the discussion was to work with the county, so the county roads coming through our town, and we would charge them per whatever.
Okay, thank you for your time. That's all I have right now.
Paul DiBartolo, Ohio Avenue, Blackwood, New Jersey. With regard to the pawn brokers, when I read this, maybe I didn't understand it. So it says for the licensing, I got the impression that this didn't exist. Are we saying we already have pawn broking going on, and this is just to
We have a couple of businesses that deal with this type of business.
Okay.
And so this would have, when they get licensed, they would have to be responsible to put their information into this database.
Okay, so this already exists. We're just kind of like pulling it together. Regarding this pothole filler, so as it stands right now, if Camden County is renting one and doing their own, we are not filling their holes unless, there's some arrangement made between us. We're not going to go out and just arbitrarily, we're just going to pass over them then, essentially.
It has to be in a local agreement.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Right?
Good evening, Council. Ray Palladaro, Ariel. Forget my voice. For the ordinance 1407 with the pawnbrokers, how will police be accessing that information? I know you're doing photography and documentation of these items. Will they have an electronic connection to do this?
That's correct, they will. It's an online database.
Okay. Will that expand to a network outside? Whereas if somebody here in Gloucester Township was to have a burglary and lose their jewelry, where a network would join with the ones that we have here in the township, all the way, I guess, as far down to Atlantic City, where folks that might take something here would go down to Atlantic City, not to be traced as easily, because not only have I heard it, but I've experienced it and seen where there wasn't great communication between these gold for cash type outfits.
You're exactly right. I mean, there are a number of towns that are expanding. Us hopefully, of course, being one of them. I mean, Washington Township, Evesham, Cherry Hill, Mount Laurel are all currently on their system, just to name a few. So we would be joining that database and have that access between all of us.
Right.
As far down as all the way down the shore, I can't really say, but it is the only service available. So anybody who would pass this ordinance that would utilize it would be on that.
And the reason I'm asking is maybe as far as Atlantic County looking into that, for the reason being it's a lot harder to trace down to Atlantic City because so much goes on down there, and it might behoove us to see if we can reach down that far, maybe carry the southern Jersey region. It could be a benefit to us.
I agree.
Thank you. Later on, you'll be discussing the 2014 fiscal year budget, agenda item 1403-090. I'm just curious, in the past 5 years, have we increased the budget all 5 of the last 5 years?
Increased with
Have we, total budget, fiscal budget? Yes.
Yes.
We have never either plateaued or lowered the budget in the past 5 years.
No, I don't believe the budget has.
Is there any reason why our township does not look into cutting costs, saving costs, and maybe lowering the budget? A zero increase in the levy is good, but if we have more revenue coming in and we're spending more, we can keep it at zero so long as we spend all that's coming in. It seems pretty obvious, but have we looked into lowering our budget, lowering our costs? I know that we're looking at shared agreements, what have you, but sometimes the shared agreements don't work out so well for Gloucester Township. We share with the county doesn't seem to share so much back with us. Lakeland being a good case in point in that. But it just seems painfully clear that we never look to cut the budget. Every tax dollar that comes in goes out, none goes back to the taxpayers. Reason I'm asking once again, in 2015, your contract ends with the red light cameras. If the trend continues like it is going to trend, we're not going to have red light revenue. Fines, fees, whatever you want to call them. That's a missing approximately $1.8 million, give and take with American Traffic Solutions. I'll ask again, has the township looked into what are we going to do when those cameras are gone, that revenue's gone? If we haven't started cutting now, it's going to be panic time next year. I welcome your response.
Well, as you pointed out, we're always looking for ways to cut costs. We did the cooperative purchasing agreement with Cherry Hill and some other communities on the trash disposal, also on the trash collection. We have our arrangement, our interlocal arrangement with the MUA to pick up the recycling. We're negotiating 6 labor contracts starting this year, so we'll be looking at health insurance. But I think the answer to the question, right, is we're always looking to cut costs.
And I'll accept that as an answer. And I'll agree that you've cut costs, but have you looked at cutting the budget?
When we're cutting costs, we're trying to cut the budget.
Cutting costs is always spending, let's take a round number, $51 million. We got 51 coming in, 51 goes out all the time. Have we truly looked on how to cut the budget?
So we're always trying to cut the budget.
All right, so not in the foreseeable future will people's taxes go down, property taxes go down in Gloucester Township. I'm sorry.
The levy was the same for the last 4 budget cycles.
That's not down. We're looking at, do you see in the foreseeable future, including 2015 when the red light camera revenue, fines, fees are gone, do you see property taxes going down in Gloucester Township?
I can't speculate on that at this point.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Pete?
Hi, Pete Heinball, Morningstar Court. Also related to the budget resolution today. Is there going to be a budget document available to be viewed?
Yes.
Online on the regular location online? Okay, and public hearings will be scheduled.
Actually, a public hearing, how many days?
Not less than 28 days from the date of the introduction.
28 days from now or less.
That'll be announced using the regular avenues.
I'm sorry, not less than 28 days. Pete, I may have missed that.
Not less than 28
Right.
days.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And these budget hearings will be announced to the normal avenues through
Yeah, that
public notices.
During a council meeting, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Robert Kolakowski, Glen Oaks, New Jersey, Lincoln Drive. Just one more question about the pothole killer. If we have the RE400 filling potholes with one person, would that free up the rest of the crew to repair larger potholes, or that the RA? So pretty much we would be having 2 crews basically working at the same time.
Yeah, the streets part of the Public Works handles that, and not only are they looking for potholes, but they're also looking in those areas where it's more than a pothole that's crumbling, to have a crew that has a small asphalt machine that will repair them, and therefore not letting it deteriorate further down the road. So
Okay.
we are looking into establishing that practice as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? See no other hands, we close the first public portion. Bid report?
Professional Grant Consulting Community Development Block Grant Home Program.
Motion to accept the bid report?
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes. Minutes?
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of the regular meeting February 10th and February 24th.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion, Mr. President. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Accept the minutes for 2:10, but abstain from 2:24.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinances. This ordinance is of second reading, and there will be a public hearing. Ordinance Ordinance O-14-06. Ordinance to establish a government-private energy aggregation program in the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, New Jersey, in order to provide electric generation services and supply services for residential and non-residential customers pursuant to the Government Energy Aggregation Act of 2003. This ordinance will allow the township to go into a energy aggregation program to provide less expensive electric to the residents of Gloucester Township. And I'll have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to approve. Excuse me. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinances of first reading. Ordinance O-14-07. Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, establishing a procedure for the licensing operation of pawnbrokers and dealers of second-hand goods and merchandise in the Township of Gloucester, and creating Chapter 63A entitled Pawnbrokers and Dealers in the Second-Hand Goods. As we discussed earlier, this ordinance will provide database information for all the pawnbrokers and dealers of second-hand goods in Gloucester Township. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Now have resolutions of consent agenda. Any council person wishing to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Resolution 90, resolution introducing the 2014 fiscal year budget.
As the title states, this resolution introduces the calendar year 2014 budget. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. We have no GTE Gov access questions, so I will open up the second public portion. Any resident wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand and come to the microphone. Ray?
Good evening once again, Council. Ray Pallador, Ariel. I was interested in the mayor's opinion on a budget question that I had, which leads me to the question, as I've missed some council meetings. When was the last time that the mayor stayed for the business portion of the council meetings?
I'm unaware of that. I don't know, Tom, if you would know. And I would say, Ray, if you have a question for the mayor on the budget, you're more than happy to, we could send it through to via Tom, or if you like to, you could call.
The idea was at a public meeting, as the mayor weighs in on various things, to get his opinion in public on that. And yet, we're still going to carry on the mayor's report if he's not going to hang out for.
It's off the agenda.
It's off the agenda?
Correct.
Okay. Will the mayor be attending any more meetings for the rest of the year?
I do not know that.
Besides picture taking and awards?
I do not know that.
Okay. During the time that I was away, through November, December, January, I had the delightful privilege to attend some council meetings in other municipalities by invitation. I found it very interesting. I found some things extremely positive, extremely friendly, and a good dialogue and all. I think Gloucester Township weighs very well. I think you run a fabulous meeting on time and everything. But curiously enough, of these townships, they also had award ceremonies during the council meetings. However, and I did feel the need to question, their award ceremonies are during the public portion. There's not technically an issue with where it is placed in any of these towns. They just found it beneficial under the guidelines of we do the business of the township. The public portion and public awards are to be deemed in the public portion. Why is it that we give the awards out before a meeting starts, empty the room out, and then conduct business when some of those folks might be interested in what goes on here in the township and make part of the public portion that public awards? Your input, please.
Yeah, Ray, to me, it's a beginning of the meeting type scenario. Never thought about putting it as part of the public portion. To me, that's the part where the residents get to discuss their questions or discuss issues with the council. I don't think from a legality standpoint there's an issue whether we can do it.
No, there's not an issue. Just as was my recollection, the township has always held those type of ceremonial type award presentations at the beginning of the meeting. I'll tell you the thought process many years ago was a lot of young people come to the meetings and they have homework or other things to do. So we do the presentations in the beginning or awards and recognitions in the beginning so that they don't have to stay till sometimes meetings run 8:30, 9 o'clock. So those groups can leave if they're interested, if they can stay. I mean, that's how, my recollection, that they started doing it at the beginning of the meetings.
And to some point, I can see that. But my understanding was, and again, these are questions I've asked of other municipalities, once they called the meeting to order, the business of the township was conducted before any awards were given out. As far as the getting the kids in and out, it's also a phenomenal good civics lessons for the kids to be a part of the business of the township. Like the night in the evenings that you had some of the younger folks up there with you, you all know what a benefit that was to them and them to see that. So maybe give that some thought and bring some of these awards to the public portion and give them the opportunity to see the business of the township. And all politics aside, I mean that in a positive way. It might benefit some of the folks to see the business of the township and have some input and participate in the process.
Interesting, Ray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pete?
Pete Heinball, Block 14802. I said that for you, Ray. Listen, the Morningstar Court, Pete Heinball. I'm sorry Councilman Hutchins isn't here today. Just wanted to bring up what happened 3 meetings ago where he and I got involved in a little heated back and forth. I just wanted to say for the record that the council meeting that followed that, the councilman did approach me and offer an apology, and I accepted it, so everything's good.
Thank you.
And I also want to say, I think for the most part when I stand up here at the microphone and speak, I try to cite facts and figures and examples, and but every once in a while frustration or emotion or something and will get the better of me, and I'll say a few words that are a little inflammatory or personal in nature, and I just wanted to apologize when I do that. So
I know that's not your intention, Pete.
Yeah. Also, at that same 2 meetings ago, I wasn't in attendance for most of the meeting. I was only at the very end. A couple residents did take the microphone and said some words in support of me regarding the exchange, and I just wanted to, on record, to thank those residents for supporting me. And I also want to say, for the most part, in general, I think what the council and our government leaders here do a good job, do a fine job, and I'm happy generally with the job that's done. If me and others stand up here when we have our time at the microphone and sound critical or point out the things we disagree with, it's only because that's why we're here. If we spend all the time pointing out the things we agree with, that would use up all our time. So if we stand up here and sound critical, and it gets, it gets a little overly critical at times, that's just the way we need to use our time. We're at the microphone. But anyway, related to the discussion I was having with Councilman Hutchinson that day 3 meetings ago, we were talking about metrics and measuring results on projects and on spending and things like that. And the next meeting, Mr. Gardner came up. Mr. Kolakowski said a few words too. And the conversation moved more toward just providing data metrics that can be used for anyone to view and sort through and look at and see if there's anything more data being made available, more transparency of the data. And the website for the city of Redmond, Washington was brought up at one point. Does anyone look further at what the city of Redmond, Washington provides in data? I looked at that. Wonder if anyone else did.
I did not, Pete, but I don't know if any other folks have.
I received some information from Andrew that he had emailed to me, but no, I have not.
Okay, so there hasn't been any further discussion by this panel about providing more data or metrics or.
I personally asked Mr. Cardis to take a look at it because there is data that we currently look at.
Right.
I know he will be looking at that and, taking it and seeing what we can, how it can get aggregated.
Right.
But as I told, I think back then, I'm not sure if it was you, Peter, or Andrew, but I know Public Works has information on how many work orders they do and what have you.
Right.
I know the police has to keep meticulous records on what they do.
Response time.
I know they report a lot of their stuff, and again, correct if I'm wrong, Chief, a lot of that goes up to the state police with the information that they have to provide. So I know Tom was going to take a look at all that.
Okay. Also, when Andrew Gardner spoke, he even offered to volunteer his time to, if the data was available, to be the one that sorts through it and manipulates it and things like that. And I also, in the past, have offered my services for whatever's for certain things that are needed that are kind of my area of specialty. And I think you have a group of, it's a small group, unfortunately, but I think we have a group of residents here that just want to see things done a little better if we can. We're not looking to tear anything down or just criticize and make everyone look bad or whatever. We just want things a little bit better. And I think there are enough people here, even though it's a small number, that we would all offer our time just to help out, pitch in where we can, where it's needed, and I'm one of those. So I just want to.
Well, thanks, Pete.
Okay, that's it then.
Thank you. Paul?
Paul DiBartolo, High Avenue, Blackwood. I did visit the Redmond, Washington site, and the first thing that hit me in the face was the way they offered their meetings to the public. Now, maybe this is going to sound a little critical, I don't know, but when I first started coming out here and some of the things I read, it seemed like the mayor was bragging like he drug us into the 21st century or something, putting this online or whatever. And I think I would echo a lot of people saying what we're offering to the public with the streaming online is nasty. Cuts out. One of the things that's really evident is this mic, I guess, is prominent, so you can hear what the resident is saying, but once it goes to council, you lose audio, so you really don't know what's going on. And if somebody thinks what we have is a good deal, I would suggest that we could do a whole lot better, and I would really recommend that you take a look at the Redmond, Washington site and click on, like, shows their meetings. I mean, they have video that not only focuses on you, but if there was someone that comes to the podium to speak, they must have another camera, and everything's mic'd. And it's just, I know there are people watching at home because I've talked to them. And there's a lot of frustration as well with the you know, what we're offering. And we can do a whole lot better. I would suggest that you take a look at it. Thank you.
Bob?
Robert Kolakowski, Lincoln Drive, Glen Oaks. I guess piggybacking off of a little bit what the previous speakers have brought up is the township's website. I don't know how many of you have gone to it and looked at the first page that comes up, but I look at it, and to me, it seems like it's been optimized for Netscape. It's so old. If announcements are on the left-hand side, a light font against a light background, white background. I had talked before about possibly having an opt-in email system for announcements for the availability of various council meetings, their minutes, their agendas, and such. Well, if you, and I in the past I've gotten things from the mayor's office about various park openings and such. And then I went to the website, scrolled all the way down, and on the right-hand side, you've got buttons for an opt-in email list. And you go to it, and you can sign up. And it's for announcements, and I mean, apparently something already exists there. Plus, there's to follow you on Facebook and on Twitter, but it's all the way at the bottom of the page. I mean, that sort of thing should be right at the top, at the prominent, prominent to get people to follow, not where they actually have to search. So I would encourage council to really look into updating the website. I know last meeting or the meeting before, there were awards for the, I guess, summertime photo contest. I mean, right now, I mean, all you do is you just hand in the photo with your name, address, and stuff. I think what you need to do is have a downloadable form that people, it's a consent form when they submit. That also gives the township the right to use it on a non-profit basis, and put that on the website too. Again, if you're a resident, a business in the township, somebody looking to, a potential resident looking to move in, or a potential business, you go to that website, and what's that going to tell you about the community itself? It's not dynamic, it's not exciting. I think it really needs to be updated and brought into 2014. So, again, I would just encourage council to go through it and go to that page and see how you experience it. Try to experience it like somebody who isn't on the inside. Okay. And one more thing. I noticed that the Black Horse Plaza is going to be undergoing renovations, expansion. Dunkin' Donuts apparently is going in. They're trying to lure a big box restaurant. And I'm sure that's due to the premium outlets being built next door. My concern is what I call the Disneyland effect. You put in this prime attraction, and then you have all the ancillary businesses opening up. Now, I'm sure that's going to increase the value of at least the commercial properties in the area. That row of stores right across with the bait shop and the dance studio and the UPS. I'm sure all those areas are going to go up. My concern is that everything is going to be concentrated in that immediate area, and downtown Blackwood West, what we're have been trying to redevelop, for decades, is sort of going to be too far out and sort of forgotten about while everybody tries to. I drove down today in between, I guess, College Drive and I guess right before Lake. I counted 8 automotive businesses either in operation or shuttered. You just drive down there. There's a lot of open space there. You've got the former lumber yard, and I'm just concerned that, you know, all the businesses are going to be concentrating there, and sort of that's going to be forgotten about. Has anything been thought about to address that situation?
Would you come from the planning?
Nothing with planning, I know we've talked about the
Mike,
parking
please.
lot.
Mike?
Nothing has been brought forward to the planning board. Is Mr. Lechner here? Ken?
We're looking at some grant opportunities with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, the Transportation Community Development Initiative grants to look at the area that you're discussing. I always envisioned the area, not to go into a big long dissertation, but I always envisioned Blackwood, downtown Blackwood, having a more of a downtown environment, if that's what you want to go to. The premium outlets having an outlet type environment. Blackwood Flemington Road being more retail, as well as Burlington Speed Road being big box. So depending on what type of shopping agenda that you perceive. So trying to, and then make everything work together.
Right. Well,
we are looking at Glendora, which is not Grenlock area, is what you're discussing, to maybe improve that area through grant. Matter of fact, I was talking with Mr. Cantwell through email the other day, throwing back ideas. So.
Yeah, like I said, I've never been against the outlets. You know, any chance of a pilot or abatement is what really concerned me. And again, I think, you know, if we bring more businesses in, it would seem to me that if an owner now is sitting on a property that's vacant, he's going to, you know, decide, you know, he can wait and sell it for more than he paid for it and get out, or find a higher renter to occupy it. And again, I'm just concerned that, you know, we will have development in that immediate area. On the Black Horse Pike, you know, I just would like to see, even if it's in terms of boutiques or antique stores or bistros in that area. So I would just like the township to think about that. Okay, thank you.
Ray?
Ray Poldor, area, I'll be brief. Some time ago, Joanne had asked, and I had other follow-up questions regarding the township, looking into what goes on day to day, week to week, and month to month with the schools. You never really responded to her you responded about a liaison, but not the invitation to just go observe the meetings. In the past, I had asked council about the response that the school district gave Gloucester Township schools, who are conducting meetings on the same night as the council meetings. Their response basically to the public was, well, council moved their meetings. Yeah, okay. Is it within the jurisdiction of the lawmakers of our town to pass a resolution that would allow only one public meeting on given nights? Is it within your jurisdiction to look into a resolution? Because having a school board meeting on the same night as a council meeting, not that this room is going to fill up with, you know, but it is a conflict of having two public meetings in the same evening. I'm curious as to whether our governing body has the right to look into that and or prohibit that by resolution.
Yeah, I would like some opportunity to review that, but to try to give you an answer now, the first thought that comes to mind is the township governing body, municipal government, does not have authority to dictate to the school board when they hold their meetings. So if you say one meeting a month, the question becomes, well, who's going to have the first choice of what day of the week they want their meeting, and who has to change their meetings? So in a sense, my first reaction is governing body, mayor and council, cannot dictate to the school board when they hold their meetings.
It wouldn't quite be dictating, I'm sorry, wouldn't be quite dictating when they have their meetings, but would tell them when they can't have their meetings. Let's just look at council. Workshop first Monday of the month, regular meetings on the 2nd and the 4th. And school board has the 3rd if they so choose. They choose not to. It does not even allow our governing body to observe what goes on in a school board meeting because you're busy yourself conducting business. But I truly think it would be worthwhile to look into. And again, you're not dictating to the school district when they have their meeting, just telling them that they're in conflict of another public meeting. I think it's definitely worthwhile, and it would give other folks an opportunity to observe the business of the township and how our school district business is being conducted, and have the flexibility to see both. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we'll close the second public portion. Polling of directors and council, please.
Mr. Lechner?
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Chief Earl?
One quick item.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. President, good evening, Council. Just a couple of quick updates that I thought I'd share with you. That about 2.5 years ago, we started a digital management system of our policies. Before that, they were all printed, which you can imagine was quite large. So the system actually runs a report, and it runs the amount of paper we saved in about that 2.5 year period. It was 644 reams of paper over that time, because now the officers digitally sign on the computer as opposed to getting a printed document. So a unique report. Thought I'd pass that savings along. That sometimes technology really does, save some paper. Tell Tom that he needs to hear that. Citizens Police Academy was last Thursday. We had a record crowd ever, over 50 people. So we look forward to seeing them in about 10 weeks, graduating here. And next Thursday, some last minute notice that we're just putting this together. It's the first day of spring. Even heard, I think someone mentioned it when they first got up today. And we're going to celebrate the first day of spring by having the bike patrol kind of open the bike path down around the Blackwood West area, the caboose. So we're actually asking people to bring a pair of socks. It would be new pair of socks, a used pair of socks, because we're going to donate them to charity, following after Maryland does that, where they burn them, signifying when you end winter. We're going to do it. We're going to send them off to charity. So you'll see that community balloon come out in the next couple of days. All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cantwell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and once again, thank you for all your comments. Have a good evening.
Mr. Seiler?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Strato?
Thank you for coming out, and I appreciate the comments, and have a great week.
Mrs. Winters?
Thank you, and have a great night.
Mr. Mercado?
At our next council meeting, we will be celebrating Women Who Make a Difference in Gloucester Township. Nominations are due this Thursday at 5 o'clock at the clerk's office. So we will have a presentation at the beginning of the council meeting. Thank you, have a good evening.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the residents for attending tonight's meeting. Just a quick note that I think it's important that we have residents come up and share their thoughts. Sometimes it does get, unfortunately, into a heated battle sometimes, but I think that's the best part of our government is the residents have a right to come up and make their statements. And I know we have a clock here, and I tend to be very lenient with it, and it's on for a reason, because I want people to feel they can come up and express themselves. So whether we like it or not, either side, I think it's important that we follow that and continue to have that conversation between the governing body and residents. With that, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All those against? Have a great night.
Could you make sure you sign that thing for Susan tomorrow?
Yeah.
He has to send that up to the state.
Congratulations.